Hi, Commander Blastard here to show you the V5 Pro latest upgrades. We'll start with a recap though. All began with a £50 office chair from a reclamation shop round the corner, and then swiftly moved on to adding 2 wiper motors just to give it 2 degrees of freedom. I then upgraded those motors to give it a bit more force, and then added a 3rd motor with an extra base to give it 3 degrees of freedom. It was then tarted up with extra motors and tidied electronics ready for the ECM event in Wokingham. I then changed over to completely new 6 degrees of freedom design with the V5. Now we've got the V5 Pro. The new setup has a new PC feeding the same 2 Arduino Unos. Each of those feeds 3 motor drivers. I'm using IBT2s, and each of those motor drivers is responsible for motor on each side of the rig, 3 one side and 3 the other. There's a feedback system that gives positional data back to the Arduinos so that it can compute the next position required. In a simplified diagram, you can see the CH Products pedals, flight stick and throttle attached to the PC, which I'm now using is an Intel i990K with a GeForce 2080 Ti overclocked, and the VR headset I'm running now is a widescreen VR Pimax 5K Plus headset, and I'm still waiting, and it should be arriving any time now, is the eye tracker module for it, which should sharpen up the focus and the pixelation really well. Information for the position is given out over USB port. It's giving serial data at 500,000 baud to each of the 2 Arduino Unos, each of which is responsible for 3 motor drives, 3 for one side of the rig and 3 for the other. SMC3 software takes care of all the PID algorithm that samples 4,000 times a second to give precise positional data. I've now added an ARM Cortex microprocessor controller running at 84 MHz, which is fast enough to run touchscreen controls and take care of all the processing data to give a full SCADA system for the whole rig. A touchscreen smart screen system, CTA70, is attached to the system to allow me to set the different power levels that I require for each time I play. All the runtime data is stored to an SD card, and I've got that running over an SPI bus. I've also added a 4th microcontroller, just a normal standard Uno, that's got multiple LED routines that sends out serial data streams to give precise lighting controls and displays for each of the power settings on the rig. This is the current setup that I'm running now. Okay, a quick tour of the V5 in its latest form. Since COVID lockdown, I've done a few hundred hours extra work on it, pretty much to get it ready for the ECM event that was at Easter, but unfortunately that was cancelled, but I ploughed on ahead anyway. You might notice the rig is now fully portable. It's got some dual bearing, soft run, multi-directional wheels attached to it to make it very manoeuvrable, and I can push it around by myself despite its 450 kilos gross weight. I've made use of fluorescent perspex covering to help keep dust levels down. It also helps protect the drive electronics. The whole rig's been heavily upgraded now with a full SCADA system to control and give feedback on every aspect of the rig, which I'll give a demonstration of shortly. We've made use of the coiled cables as well, because the rig does move around quite briskly when the power settings are up quite high. And for pilot safety, I've now installed a full retractable harness or seatbelt system, keep the pilot in the chair. Key operated for safety and during those odd emergencies. All powered by my latest Cray 99 Ti with a 2080 Ti inside. and all now running through Pimax 5K plus, which currently suspended from the ceiling. Getting into the rigs now, pretty straightforward. We've got some non-slip tape, nice stepping area, and the joystick moves itself out of the way, make it easier to get in, and then once you're in situ, bring it round. Job done. Just wait till you see the light show. So a quick run through with the SCADA system, just booting the firmware up, checking out the comms. We've got full data communications across 3 buses, and then the system is entirely touchscreen. I can pull up drives data, that will give me everything about temperatures and positions of axes. Motion force, where I can increase at the push of a button in 128-bit increments, different levels of power. I have a pilot's data pad, so any notes that I made along the way can easily be recorded and brought back. And I can also add any notes to myself. Which it will retrieve at a later date. We can also pull up axis positions for the position of the rig at any point in time. And at any push of a button, it can record the total run time. Just down here at the moment it's recorded 134 hours since I've updated this flashed firmware. At the same time I can pull up my ship's specs, and any pictures are also stored for recall at any time. Little snapshots I've taken along the way. Okay, I'll just show the optical system. It's got an intelligent system that basically can change the optical display based on the dialed in power that the pilot chooses. That's the key going on. We've got a pulse. So if I increase the power on the push buttons, touch screen, so that's power setting number 1. We can now move up through the power settings, so I'm pushing the touch screen now, slowly increasing the power up, and that has a corresponding effect by basically sending the same bits of information down through a serial bus to a separate 328 microcontroller, and that takes care of the lighting. We'll increase the power a bit more. So we're now over the 50% mark, so we're into the red zone. And I'll keep increasing the power now. We're over 1300 watts. Into the blue zone. We're now 1500 watts. and now we're at the maximum 1800 watts, 100% power. I rarely run it at 100% unless you've got a sick bucket on standby and the seat belt incredibly well done. Okay, power settings on 0 at the moment. I'll just demonstrate the difference that the power settings can make on the actual movement of the rig. I'll just try it on a few of the moves. This all happens 100 milliseconds between the power shifts. We're on 0 at the moment, so we would expect no movement at all. So if I keep it tipped over, I'll go up to power setting 1. You can see it immediately give a little bit of movement. Up again. So on about halfway, quite comfortable that is for flight. Okay, going all the way up now. Okay, right up to maximum. And this one really does throw you around, and it's even got the power to oscillate itself. Purely down to the weighted joystick. If you get too lively with it. And of course all these can be combined as well. It's absolutely to the nearest millimetre of precision travel, and of course this also includes up and down. Difficult to demonstrate it on a moving rig when you're trying to move the actual controllers that are mounted to the moving rig, but this can really throw you around big time. We'll just show the image showing the relative spatial orientation of the rig in different positions. So I'll zoom it in a bit, see if I can at least get the foot pedal in at the same time. So as I moved the rig, you'll see we get a corresponding motion on the Mimic as well. The other screen you see is HD piped straight out of the main PC, which basically is used for Discord, for chatting with guys in CQC, etc. Okay, a bit of TDM with Stephen and Obi. Okay, here we go.
Flight assist off.